I now call the Iberia Parish Council, full council meeting to order for June 28, 2023. The current time now is 6 o'clock. I have the prayer that will be led by Councilman Pollard and the pledge by Councilman Paul Landry. Councilman Pollard?
I'll say the Lord's prayer. In the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Amen. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us.
Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Amen. Councilman Landry?
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, gentlemen. Madam Clerk, please initiate the roll call.
Tommy Pollard.
Here.
Michael Landry.
Here.
Marcus Broussard.
Here.
Lloyd Brown.
Here.
Warren Gotchison.
Here.
Natalie Broussard. Here. Paul Landry. James Trahan.
Here.
Scott Rossene.
Here.
Eugene Olivier. Brian Napier.
I'm here.
Lady Fontenay Brown. Scott Sonye.
Here.
Chad Macharan.
Madam Clerk, I'm proud to say 14 members in the quorum. They must have known we was voting on the machines tonight, members. I need a motion to go into public comments. I have a motion by Councilman Pollard, second by Councilwoman Broussard. Councilman Pollard on discussion? Wave. Councilman Olivier?
Wave.
Councilman Broussard? All right, roll call, members, vote your machines.
Is this mine?
Yeah. Councilman Brown? Councilman Brown? We got him some,
That's what I did.
Let me see if I do it with this. Okay, I did.
that motion carries. We're now into public comments. We do have a few members. We have Mr. Vince Dorsey to speak on agenda item 5250. Just to remind the members that 5250 is just for publication. There won't be any back and forth. Mr. Dorsey, if you can state your name and address for the record, sir. Welcome.
Vince Dorsey. I live at 8604 Harold Landry Road near Iberia.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you. I want to thank some of the council members for helping some of the people around here, but I also got some problems with some of them that got an issue with don't get their way and use this publicity politics shit for keeping other people from getting their business done. I've been here since March 27. We paid our thing for the zoning committee. We had our meeting, everything passed. And ever since then, it's been bull after bull. Can't get on the agenda. We finally get it extended. Then Mr. Paul got a problem with giving it to us because he didn't get his way with another council member. So what am I supposed to do? I've been here 4 months, and I ain't going no more. That's bull. So I am in contact with a lawyer, and like I said, I'm gonna push it as far as I can go. Does anybody have something to say about that? Am I wrong? I got people in the bank that interest rates going up every day. They losing money, I'm losing money. Why? Because he can't get his way with y'all? Take him on the street and fight. You're not man enough to do that?
Mr. Dorsey, if you can just,
Well, you gotta understand my frustration.
I do, sir.
So I'm just letting you know I'm in contact with a lawyer, and what do I have to do to get this thing taken care of?
Just as a response to you, Mr. Dorsey, we will take up that. It's in publication for the 2 weeks. An ordinance has to be publicized for 14 days. And then we'll take up that ordinance for final adoption at our next meeting.
Okay, it wasn't publicized before?
No, sir. It never made it for an expansion. This is the first publication that's come before the Iberia Parish Council.
Right.
Is that correct, clerk?
That's correct.
Okay, like I said, I don't understand the way y'all do things, and I don't accept some of the stuff. I ain't did nobody anything. I paid my fees to get my stuff going, but yet they gotta hold something against me because they don't get their way with their politics. He shouldn't even be on here.
I understand, Mr.
He
Dorsey.
should be out of here.
Thank you,
And
sir,
it's
for
not
being
over,
here.
Mr. Paul, I promise you.
Thank you, sir, for being here. Councilman Rossini, if you could just be brief, it's just for publicating.
I want to apologize to him because 4 months, everybody in here has to understand who our customers are. We get paid by the public. Here's the public right here. He does have somewhat of a legitimate issue. 4 months, we have some things that have been going on for years. So, that maybe it's something we all need to sit back and look at ourselves in the mirror and say, look, what did we do wrong? Is there something we could do better? And once again, I apologize.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Thank you, Councilman Rossini. Next, we have Mr. Shane Walker to address agenda item 5250. Just to remind the members, this again is for publication only. Won't be any back and forth, members. Mr. Walker, if you could state your name and address for the record, sir.
Yes, sir. It's Shane Walker, 1008 Booty Road, 70563.
Thank you for being here, sir.
Thank y'all. Good afternoon to everyone. I'm standing in front of y'all, asking, please, for 5250. We have a lot riding on this. I have a lot of money. I'm a young man, fighting for a passion of mine that's going very well. Unbelievably well, that I never would have thought have taken off like it did, and I need to expand. So I bought the property with Mr. Vince Darcy, and trying to do the right thing. We're here in front of y'all, and seems like we're just getting drugged through the ringer. But like I said, I've been living in that passion since I was in diapers. I love vehicles, and that's what I plan on doing on the property. Working on them. I'm honest to my people, and that's what's taking me far, I guess. Honesty. So I'm asking in the next 2 weeks for y'all to please vote yes, that we can get this over with. That's all I ask, and that's pretty much all I had.
Mr. Walker, thank you for being here, sir. I
Yes,
appreciate
sir.
it.
Thank y'all.
We also have Mr. Cole Griffin to address agenda item 134. Members, just to remind you that this is an expansion. We won't have any back and forth until we are able to expand that. Mr. Griffin, if you could just state your name and address for the record, please.
Cole, Jared Griffin. I live in Lafayette Parish.
That's okay.
Yeah,
We just-
104 Agape Circle, Lafayette Parish.
Thank you, sir.
What's before the council today is Knight Energy Services is asking for your help in relocating a drainage servitude.
Can you speak up a
We're-
little bit?
Sure.
Just
What we're trying to do we're asking the council to relocate a drainage servitude. Currently, we have a sale that's scheduled to close. It's very time sensitive, like everything that needs to be done yesterday, unfortunately. One of the title restrictions is this 1983 servitude that runs technically underneath Knight Manufacturing. So the current drainage servitude is not in use. What we're asking is to relocate it where the current drainage is actually functioning and located. This is all part of a sale and leaseback transaction that we're consolidating in our facilities that are in other parishes. We're trying to relocate those here to Iberia Parish. Without this transaction closing, we can't do that. And so we're asking that the council approve the relocation so that we can close this transaction and go on. So if there's any questions.
We can't take questions right now
Okay.
because we have not expanded, but I'd ask you to stay in case it is successful. We'd like to-
Absolutely.
In
Will
case
do.
there's questions. Thank you for being here, Mr. Griffin. Without hearing any more requests to speak, I'll need a motion to go into regular session. I have a motion by Councilwoman Broussard and a second by Councilman Pollard.
Well, we have persons to address.
Oh, I apologize. We do. I'm sorry, guys. I jumped the gun. Where's that card at for
Representative
Mr. Delahousie?
A and B.
You didn't have it?
Okay.
Okay. All right. Yeah, here we go. That's the next one. Okay. Item A, representative of Calder, Slavin and Company to present the financial audit report for fiscal year ending December 31st, 2022. If you could just state your name and title, please.
Sure. Good evening. My name is Matthew Margaglio. I'm one of the partners with Calder, Slavin and Company. Here to present the financial report for December 31st, 2022. You should have received in your packet the blue bound audit report, the whole 200-ish pages of it, which we won't go through tonight. We're going to go through a little summary packet that they have up on the screen, and I believe y'all should each received a copy as well. On page 1 of the handout that we've got, we talk about the financial report as a whole consists of 4 key components. 3 of those components are ours as independent auditors. It's our independent auditors report on the financial statements, the report on internal controls, and the report on federal awards. The 4th component of that is the financial statements and the related disclosures, and that belongs to the council and management. So those 3 reports that we prepare describe y'all's responsibility and management's responsibility for the financial statements, controls and compliance, preventing and detecting fraud, and the overall financial position of the parish. It also describes our responsibility to come in and perform our audit, obtain an understanding of how things operate and what goes on, and to express an opinion on certain areas of federal compliances, as well as an opinion on whether the financial statements were presented in accordance with GAAP. So the results of our audit procedures was we were able to issue an unmodified opinion on the financial statements. So that means the financial data within this book is fairly and truly presented in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles. That's the best opinion that you can receive as auditors. So your bonders, the grantors, and general constituents who read this report can rely on the information and can use it in their decision-making process. As far as federal awards, y'all received about $4 million in federal grants this year from various purposes. We did our testing in compliance with the Washington, D.C. rules and regulations, and we noted no non-compliance with those elements that the parish has been required to perform. We looked at overall some financial rules and regulations from the Legislative Auditor's Office in Baton Rouge, as well as best practices and controls from their office as it relates to the parish as a whole, and we noted nothing significant or material that was worthy of bringing to the attention of the council. So overall, the reports that we issued are fair, good, and very, very good for the parish as a whole, and this, I think, is a very good report for everyone to rely upon. If we want to flip on to the next page, we're going to go over the governmental revenues and expenses, and I'll go through the financial data fairly quickly. This is some comparative information for y'all. Oh, okay, I can do the clicker. Okay. So this is your total governmental revenues and expenses. The 2022 column is where we're going to focus because that's where we ended up doing the audit on. Your total revenues was about $34.7 million. Total expenditures was about $34.9 million. Now, this is all of your sources, all of your funds, all of your operations. This includes your special revenue funds. This includes all of the grant funds, the entire parish as a whole. That's what everything took in, and that's what everything expended. One of the key numbers to point out that doesn't show up specifically in here is y'all did complete a major building for about $1.6 million for public safety. That's included in the expenditure number, so if that wouldn't have been that one time using old money that y'all had, you would have had a very good financial position. It wouldn't be as break even as what it was. It'd be more to the positive trend. So overall, very good position for y'all to be in, relatively break even for all of your different funds and departments.
I have a question before you go forward.
Yeah.
Is that budgeted or actual spent dollars? Because you do have some one-time dollars that's in our capital outlays. Is that
That's
expressed in
actual
those numbers?
spent.
Okay.
Yep. These are actual spent dollars, money coming in and money going out. This doesn't reflect any budgeted information. On the next page, page 4, we're going to look at the 22 column, and this looks at where you got your money from as a whole for the parish. So your largest source of revenue, about $10 million, was your ad valorem taxes. Your next largest was your sales tax, about $8.7 million. Follow that up with state sources, federal sources, making up another combined $10 million. Those numbers are fairly consistent for your parish, looking year to year, end over end, and relatively consistent compared to what we're seeing in other agencies, especially the sales tax number being up slightly. That's a good position to be in, and we are kind of seeing that uniformly across most of the agencies that we're auditing right now. On the next page, this is where you spent your money. Public Works was about 21% of your total expenditures. Your capital outlay was another 19%, with general government and health and welfare over the next two portions being 17 and 16% respectively. So a big chunk of your money was going into roads, bridges, drainage, those sorts of either minor improvements, short-term type building and infrastructure, or long-term capital type projects. Again, relatively consistent, and y'all are spending your money where it's supposed to go. being public works and capital outlay as two of the largest areas of expenditure, is very good for a parish to be spending their money on. The next page, this is your general fund only. So the reason why we kind of carve out the general fund is that this is your catch-all fund. This money here is generally not restricted or reserved by any sort of ordinance, tax, or law or anything like that. This is kind of where you can use and really have the most flexibility. When we talk about grants, most of that is reimbursement driven. So once you approve a project, you don't have a lot of flexibility in what you do with it. When we're talking about certain sales taxes, those are established and you can only spend it on certain things. Your general fund doesn't have those restrictions. You can use the money as the council sees fit. We'll see here in 22, you spent about $4.9 million, which is up very slightly from the prior year. We also see that you took in about $7 million. That's a pretty decent jump from the prior year. The big cause for that increase is the recognition of some of the COVID money. Y'all had received all of that money several years ago, probably about a year or two. It came in 2 different waves. Y'all are now starting to allocate that money to projects or to purposes and beginning to, for accounting purposes, recognize it. So yes, y'all got cash on hand over time, but for accounting purposes, we can't show that as revenue until it's actually spent for what the council has said we're going to spend that on. This year was about $1 million that y'all actually spent that we were able to recognize in revenue. Over the next, we're in 22, 23 to 24, y'all will complete obligating all of that funding, and then y'all will have to expend it through 2026, sometime between now and then. And that's to the tune of about another $12 million. So depending on whether it's in general fund or it's in some of the water and sewer grants that y'all have done matching on, that's where those fundings will end up going.
Even including lost revenues?
That is the lost revenue. This year it was the lost revenue number that kicked up about the $1 million. And that is still all COVID money.
ARPA, yeah.
Correct. On the next page, this is your royalty fund.
Not as pretty.
No. This is money from the state that flows into y'all. And as you can see, and this is why we like to talk about this, several years ago in 2014, y'all were taking in about $4 million a year. That number has dropped substantially and has stayed relatively low. This money has historically been dedicated for roads and bridges and to guarantee debt on those roads and bridges. As you can see, when you were making about $4 million, it was kind of nice. Y'all were able to do a lot of stuff. Now that you're dealing with $400,000, y'all are going to have to start pulling from other sources to continue keeping those projects going. And that's why we talk about the general fund and where the money is coming from and where it's going to. Because if you need to satisfy those debt obligations for whatever reason, or you want to do projects, this royalty money is no longer there. The state just is not paying it, and there's not much that y'all can do about that. It just is what it is. But seeing that big drop in where the money is supposedly dedicated to is a concern that y'all need to keep on your mind as you're budgeting the general fund or the available sources in there. The next thing that we want to talk about is your general fund cash. We can see in 2020 you'll have about $3.4 million in cash on hand at the end of the year. Now, bear in mind, this does not include the advanced COVID money that y'all received. So the ARPA money, it came in, it is sitting in a cash account, but it is excluded from this graph because it would really skew the numbers. And until we start recognizing and spending it, we don't want to actually acknowledge that we have that cash on hand because it really isn't usable for the purposes of this graphic. So y'all had about $3.4 million cash on hand. That gives you roughly 256 days of available cash from your general fund. Now you can see from 2017 up through 22, y'all have had significant growth, and that is a very, very good thing of council budgeting and management spending that has allowed you to grow to that position. That sounds like a big number, but it's not as big as what we probably need it to be for a couple of reasons. One, the general fund is your catch-all. So any other funds that fall short on cash or revenues, it has to come out the general fund. You can't take it from other restricted sources. So you're going to need to have those reserves there to satisfy your own requirements. The other thing to consider is, and we've seen this recently with what happened in the Lake Charles area and down in the Houma Terrebonne parishes, the hurricanes. Y'all are a coastal parish. And depending on the timing and the destruction that some of these storms are starting to cause, it produces a significant burden to the general fund in the parishes that we're involved with and some of the municipalities that we're seeing, to the point where sales tax becomes delayed a month or two because the school board can't open and remit checks. We've seen issues with ad valorem taxes being frozen because a reassessment has to be done depending on the timing of the approval and when the millages go out. So we've seen delays of months and months before you can actually get your normal recurring revenue back in hand. This doesn't include fights with the insurance companies, grantors, and everything else to get this funding available. So having an extra surplus in your general fund allows you to satisfy your day-to-day operations in the event of needs of other departments or agencies, or in the need of something catastrophic like that where you just have to make payroll for a couple of weeks waiting for money to come in from these sources that normally pay y'all very consistently. So 256 days of available cash does sound like a lot. Coastal parishes right now, what I'm seeing, I recommend closer to 360 days. So you have a little bit to go before you can say, yeah, we're in a good position to, pardon the pun, weather the storm when it comes on. That's pretty much it for the financial presentation. I'll answer some questions if I
I
can.
do have one by Councilman Olivier.
Yeah, I definitely want to compliment the administration as well as this council. If you remember back in 2016 when we took office, we didn't know where we were with our financing. Administration froze the budget to try to get things in order and get things in line. You can see where, you know, we improved quite a bit in the last 7 years and 8 years with our finances in Iberia Parish. And if you want to go back to page 1, can you go back to the first one? Just to make sure you understand what happened in 22. When we go back one more. The one where the the purchase of the sheriff of the
This one.
building, right there.
Yep.
Right, yeah. The only reason why in 2022 we had more expenses than we had revenue was because we purchased the sheriff building. If we didn't purchase the sheriff building that in 2022, we would have had a surplus of over $1 million in that net fund, to the good. So that's how much of a great job the administration, this council, did over the past few years. And I want to congratulate everyone for their good work. Especially congratulate Kim for her great accounting work over there. She did a fantastic job. A job well done. Thank you.
Anyone else, members? I do want to say, to take a couple points from here, is to see that our debt service payments have gone down, and we'll continue to see that going into 24. But also to see the general fund, I know you put that grid up to 2017, but if you would have went back one more year, I don't think you would have seen any green on here because it was so bad.
It was very low
horrible.
into, I think
Just to
almost.
show you, I mean, it just, it's phenomenal, some of the techniques we were able to do to build back that general fund, and still doing at this point, to look into at least say that minimum cash balance of $5 to $6 million is where we've been targeting for somewhat almost 8 years. And it's taken a while to get there, and it seems like every time we get that token to go up a little bit, something happens where we have to go in and fix some, I guess if you will, certain things that pop up. But phenomenal job to the administration, of course, the council, like Mr. Eugene said. I think we've had to make some really tough decisions that weren't popular, but they were right, and it's paid off. So certainly. Anyone else while he's here? Councilman Saunier?
Yeah, I hate to single anybody out, but Kim Segura, I'm gonna tell you, I worked back there for 5.5 years, and she, if you want to point a finger at where those green lines come from, it sits solidly at her desk.
No doubt.
It doesn't always make her the most popular person within the organization.
No, she has to say no sometimes.
But at the end of the day, she is by far a steadfast, she's the best person to have in that position. And those increases point directly back at the efforts that she puts forth, not every day, but every hour of every day. So Kim, just keep doing what you do.
Did you want to come
And
take a bow, Kim?
I gotta mention Michael Broussard. Michael finds us some good deals sometimes, but Kim, thank you for what you do, no doubt.
Thank you.
Did the, Did the administration want to say anything before we close on this? Y'all can keep their mics on.
Just to reiterate what Councilman Sonia said, Kim, congratulations. Proud of you. Thank you.
Good. Okay, hearing no other, you have the opportunity to close at this point.
I'm good, thank you.
All right, moving on to item B, Madam Clerk.
Persons being considered for appointment to parish boards, commissions to address the council.
We do have one, Mr. Mark Delahousie, addressing agenda item number 124 for an appointment to the library board. Mr. Delahousie, if you could just state your name and address for the record, sir.
Mark Delahousie, 709 Mallard Cove, New Iberia, Louisiana.
Welcome, sir.
Thank you, sir. So first, I want to start out by just introducing myself. I had an opportunity to speak to several of you today, but my day got pretty hectic, so I didn't get a chance to call everyone, so my apologies. And then I want to dive into why I would like to be considered on the library board. So starting off, my name is Mark Delahousie. I was born and raised here in Iberia Parish. I grew up in the Grand Mary area. My grandparents owned a farm, so I spent a lot of time early mornings working on the farm. I graduated from Nish in 2003. I attended Northwestern State where I majored in computer information systems. Graduated in 2007. While at Northwestern, I won 2 national titles for computer programming, and then also did 2 internships at Walmart headquarters in Bentonville, Arkansas, as a software developer on their replenishment systems. Upon graduating from Northwestern, I accepted a position at USAA. Did 13 years there, started out as a software developer and left as head of customer data and API management. After that, in 2020, I accepted a position with Facebook. And so I was head of global client data. So I led the organization that made sure we could accurately identify anyone on Facebook's platform that spent more than $25,000. So we basically was there to prevent another Cambridge Analytica. After that, I accepted a position with Best Buy, where I'm currently head of engineering for Best Buy's contact center technology. So I oversee all the technology that allows a Best Buy customer to reach an agent. So the 1-800 number, the IVR, when you press 2 for billing, where most people say representative immediately, all customer data, the operational reporting that's used by executives, as well as the artificial intelligent chatbot. And so getting to why I would want to be on the library board. So what I strongly believe is putting in a technology embracing strategy for the library. If you look at it, the library has so many great things it offers, but the one negative is that you have to go physically there. And so if you look back in 2020, my job and a lot of IT jobs went remote. And so if you look at it, we didn't really have any groundbreaking technology that was delivered in 2020. We just embraced the technology that was already there. And from that, you've seen so many key success measures. Productivity's up. And for me, attracting top talent, that would have been hard for me to get them to move to Central Texas. And so I strongly believe we need an actual tech strategy, so a technology embracing strategy, to where we could reach more people in Iberia Parish and supplement the brick and mortar and all the great things the library already has to offer. Any questions?
Members, at this time, is there any questions for Mr. Delahousie?
You're overqualified.
The pay's not great, Mr. Delahousie. Just want
It's
to
not
tell you
great.
that.
I'm good with that. And so
Finished 6 seconds early.
That was impressive.
I was trying. I was looking at the time. I was like, all right, speak fast, speak fast. And everyone, I also own Church Alley Cafe, which is a downtown coffee shop. So
Hearing no questions, thank you for being here and thank you for willing to serve us.
no problem.
Appreciate
Good, it's good to be back home.
Hearing no other requests for boards and commissions, I'll need a motion to go back into regular session. I have a motion by Councilwoman Broussard and Councilman Olivier. Vote your machines, members. Councilman Brown? Councilman Trone? Councilman Pollitt? That motion carries. We're now back into regular session. Going to community events and public service announcements. There is none. Reports from finance and administrative actions. Number 1, Madam Clerk.
Balance sheets for May 2023, copy on request.
Number 2, Madam Clerk.
Budget reports for May 2023, copy on request.
Moving on to reports from parish or other governmental agencies. There is none. Public Works reports. There is none. Moving on to special business. Number 1.
The council may choose to go into executive session pursuant to Louisiana Revised Statute Title 42, Section 17A, subsections 2 and 10, to discuss the proposed litigation filed by Attorney General Jeff Landry challenging the calculation for the National Flood Insurance Plan, NFIP. Ms. Morgan Brungard, Associate Solicitor General in the Office of Attorney General Jeff Landry, will be available to answer any questions.
Legal, did you want to start this off? Is it any intentions from legal or the administration to go into executive?
I would recommend it. It was requested by the Attorney General's office because the litigation's already commenced. So they don't want to disclose any strategies.
And do we have that representative here to address this? Okay. Did you want to go in now and take that up?
I would recommend it, and just for efficiency's sake, if we could actually take the matter up after we come back into session, I think that would be
Right
also,
after.
yeah,
Immediately after,
consider
okay.
it.
All right, members, it is by request of legal that we go into executive session. I have a motion by Councilwoman Broussard, a second by Councilman Brown. Any discussions? Hearing none. Roll call. Vote your machines, members. Councilman Brown. That motion carries. If we can ask the audience to please step out. We're going to take some time into executive, and then we'll actually come back in. Landry, I do have legal.
Yes, do note that we did discuss the matter, stated that no action was taken, that we're returning to regular session before any vote.
Vote your machines, members. Councilman Trahan? That motion carries. We're now back into regular session. Council member announcements. Members? Anybody? Oh, I do have Councilman Napier.
So, two things. It's only Wednesday, and it's been a phenomenal week. Number one, LSU won the men's baseball.
I got to clap for that.
Yeah, we've been waiting since 2009, I believe. 9, right? Number two, and equally as important, the house on Louise Street in my district is down.
Go, y'all give him one. If we
So that has been like Mr. Ronson said, you know, it takes so long for things to happen here in government. But let me tell you, to the council, to Mr. Weaver, to the administration, to Ian and Andy, when this thing started, the house burnt down 6 years ago, but I think we started doing this 4 years ago. And finally, Monday they started, it's down, they were picking up cement, they're gonna lay dirt down. By the end of the week, it'll be like a fresh new lot. So everybody involved, thanks a lot for the first, at least I think that's our first one. So hopefully there's many more of those that we can clean up the parish, huh? So thank y'all.
Councilman Napier yields back. Councilman Rawson is recognized.
A while back, we had the Acadiana Odyssey Monument dedication ceremony, and if y'all remember, I asked for money right away, and here we are. So the easiest way to get there probably is, I guess, go to Facebook, and there's Lorville Acadiana Odyssey Monument Park Foundation, and then in there you'll see bricksrus.com, and it'll take you directly to the donation page. And what it is we have the monument right by the bridge, which is by the little paddle floating dock, and then the old fire station. We're gonna still use the existing exterior structure, de-gut it, and then they'll have just a little monument, some more presentations, some pictures, some verbiage for the people that come along and check out the monument. And just to let y'all know, I do see people at the monument. I've seen some people with cameras. It's not just me. My son actually made me stop because he wanted to read it, and I said, "Man, I don't read French. Come on, man." But anyway, so I thought it was pretty neat that he asked me to stop. You know, he said, "What is that? Let's go." But yeah, I have seen people, and I still see people dropping their little kayaks and taking off down the bayou. So if y'all want, go ahead and donate. We'll get this. We need a lot of money.
Good.
A lot more than just $100. Hint, hint. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Rossini. Councilman Saunier?
Yeah, I have two. And the first one is an announcement about an event that's taking place actually outside of the parish, but just over in Vermilion Parish. The 4th of July celebration is about to take place. They have a really good festival. I'd ask everybody to go and help them to celebrate that and help to support that community and that festival. It's a precursor to the next one, which is the Delcom Shrimp Festival, which is going to be coming up in August. So y'all start practicing. There's a lot of beer, good food, and we're going to have some good bands there. So I'll have more information at the next meeting.
Thank you, Councilman Saunier. Councilwoman Broussard?
Yeah, just to remind everybody that the Iberia Rod and Gun Club is having their annual 4th of July fishing rodeo this weekend at Sycamore Point. So go out and support them and catch some fish.
Good.
And some sun.
Thank you, Councilwoman. I'll be short. I just kind of want to echo what Brian said about Ian. Ian's been working extremely hard with this night situation that we in to keeping a business here in Iberia Parish that's very vital. A big presence here. I'm hoping that we can be unanimous tonight to get this expansion going. We really need it in the parish to keep these jobs here. So without hearing any more requests, parish president announcements.
Good evening. On behalf of President Richard, I'd like to make a couple of announcements. Update on the roads and bridges. Mullins Road Bridge is in the design phase. The quote packages are to be sent out by the end of the week, and from that point, we're probably about 30 days out from seeing something happen at Mullins Road. The survey on Lobby Road Bridge is complete. Scheduled completion is still January 2024. And on Vita Shaw Bridge, the field survey work is still scheduled to be completed in early July. As far as litter abatement goes, June 24th, we picked up 100 bags of trash, tires, other debris. The areas that where the garbage was collected is on Van Brocklin Road, O'Day Road, and Nelson Canal Road, and that's it. Thank you.
Moving on to consent agenda items for public hearing and adoption. Go ahead, Madam Clerk, the minutes.
Correction and regular meeting of May 10th, 2023 include abstain in the voting block for ordinance numbers 2023-05-5143, 2023-05-5144, 2023-05-5146, 2023-05-5147, and 2023-05-5148.
Then we have the regular minutes of June 14, 2023. Summary number 117, introduced by Lloyd Brown of District 4.
A resolution of condolences to the family of Mr. Robert Connor Jr., husband of Office of Homeland Security and Emergency Preparedness employee Deborah O'Connor, who passed away on June 11, 2023.
Summary number 118, introduced by the Clerk of the Council.
A resolution authorizing the designation of the Daily Iberian as the official journal for Iberia Parish for the period of July 1st, 2023 through December 31st, 2023. Note, a motion is needed to change the term ending date to June 30th, 2024 as Louisiana Revised Statute Title 43-141A specifies that designation is for a term of 1 year.
Summary 119, introduced by the Parish President.
A resolution declaring the former Tourist Commission building located at Pepperplex Sport Facility as surplus property and further authorizing the Iberia Parish President to execute a cooperative endeavor agreement by and between Iberia Parish Government and the City of New Iberia to transfer said building to the City of New Iberia to provide for the effective date thereof and to otherwise provide with respect thereto.
Summary number 120, introduced by Recreation and Playground Commission.
A resolution proclaiming the month of July 2023 as Parks and Recreation Month in Iberia Parish.
Summary number 121, introduced by the parish president.
A resolution granting substantial completion to the LCDBG fiscal year 2021 LCDBG sewer system improvements and sewer rehabilitation, all is completed as by NCMC LLC and as recommended by project engineer Staple Engineering and Consulting LLC.
Summary number 122, introduced by the parish president.
A resolution granting the authority to the parish president to sign an intergovernmental cooperative agreement with Sewerage District Number 1 of Iberia Parish relative to the fiscal year 2021 Louisiana Community Development Block Grant Project.
Summary number 123, introduced by the parish president.
A resolution requesting amendment to the 2023 Economic Development District Number 1 fund budget in the amount of $74,300 to recognize federal funding passed through the state DOTD for 80% of total engineering services in conjunction with federal aid project number H013522 South Lewis Street Widening Project. Supplemental Agreement Number 1 approved by Resolution Number 2023-104.
Need another bottle of water? Have a motion by Councilman Brown, a second by Councilman Olivier. Councilman Brown?
Wait.
Councilman Olivier?
I can remove summary number 118 so that we can change it to June 30th, 2024.
Okay. Anyone else would like to remove an agenda item from consent agenda? Hearing none. I had a motion by Councilman Brown and Councilman Olivier. We will vote on all except for 118. Vote your machines, members. Roll call. Trying. Thank you, Mr. Landry. Appreciate you noticing. That motion carries. Summary number 118, introduced by the clerk of the council. Do I have a motion? Have a motion by Councilman Olivier, a second by Councilwoman Broussard. Councilman Olivier on discussion.
I'd like to make a substitute motion to add a motion to change the term ending date to June the 30th, 2024, as specified by state statute.
I'm gonna hold that until discussion's finished and we'll come to you. I'll hold that substitute. Councilwoman Broussard on discussion?
Wave.
Any other main motion discussion, members? Hearing none, we have a motion on the floor by Councilman Olivier to amend the language. Do I have a second? Have a second by Councilwoman Broussard. Any discussion, members, on the motion to amend? Hearing none, roll call vote, members. That motion carries. Councilman Paul Landry in opposition and Councilman Trahon in opposition. Going back to the main motion that is amended by Councilman Olivier. Roll call again, members. This is for the main motion amended. Roll call vote. Hold on, we're gonna get there, Mr. Trahon. I see you wearing that button down. All right, now roll call vote, members. We still can't vote. Okay, let's try that again. Vote your machines, members. We'll get better by the next meeting.
Yeah.
And that motion carries. Councilman Paul Landry and Councilmember Trahon in opposition. Moving on to ordinances introduced for public hearing and adoption. There is none. Say again?
Can I request that we take item out of order?
Absolutely. I totally I forgot about that. Go ahead. What's the request?
If we could take summary 129 out of order.
Without objection. Summary number 129, introduced by the parish president. Madam Clerk.
A resolution authorizing the parish president to join in the litigation as proposed Attorney General Jeff Landry challenging the calculation for the National Flood Insurance Plan, NFIP, which is known as Risk Rating 2.0.
Have a motion by Councilwoman Broussard, a second by Councilman Landry. Councilwoman Broussard on discussion?
Wave.
Councilman Landry. Michael Landry.
Wave.
Councilman Paul Landry.
Wave.
Okay, Councilman Broussard. Members, if you do not wish to speak, you can just remove that. Councilman Saunier? All right, good. Any main motion discussion, members? Hearing none, vote your machines. Those in favor? And that motion carries unanimously. Moving back to resolution summary number 124, introduced by the clerk of the council.
Okay. A resolution appointing one member to the Iberia Parish Library Board of Control for a 5-year term to fill a vacancy created by the expiration of term for Ms. Natalie LaRue, whose term expires on August 23rd, 2023. Applications of interest on file for A, Ms. Natalie LaRue, and B, Mr. Mark Delahousie Jr.
Do I have a motion? I have a motion by Councilwoman Broussard and a second by Councilman Landry. Councilwoman Broussard. Yep, we're discussing right now. If you'd like to talk before we vote, you still on the board for discussion?
No, I don't have any.
Okay. All right, members, vote your, here, just write, make sure to write your district numbers on your pads. The girls didn't put them down. You need a pencil too, Mr. Napier? There you go. Let's go. Are you through voting, members? Mr. Brown, you got it? I'm coming. Yeah, I'll put these in order. District number 1, LaRue. District number 2, Delahousie. District number 3, Delahousie. District number 4, LaRue. District number 5, LaRue. District 6, Delahousie. District 7, Delahousie. District 8, LaRue. District 9, Delahousie. District 10, Delahousie. District 11, Delahousie. District 12, Delahousie. District 13, Delahousie. And then District 14, Delahousie. We have 4 votes for LaRue. And how many you got around? 10 votes for Delahousie. Congratulations, Mr. Delahousie. Moving on to summary number 125, and introduced by the clerk of the council. Madam Clerk.
A resolution appointing one member to the Iberia Parish Sewage District Number 1 Board for a 5-year term to fill a vacancy created by the expiration of term for Mr. Casey Thibodeau, whose term expires on August 28, 2023. Applications of interest on file for A, Mr. Casey Thibodeau.
Do I have a motion?
Go right here. I'm
No
trying.
motions. Somebody's coming up. Go ahead, try it now. I have a motion by,
Oh, no, you jumped.
well, Mr. Thibodeau, we had everybody abstain. We may have a.
You out, man.
No
Nobody
vote.
voted for you.
All right, let's try this again. I have a motion by Councilman Rawsonay, a second by Councilman Olivier. Councilman Rawsonay on discussion?
Mr. Thibodeau does a great job. Thank you.
Councilman Olivier? All right, thank you. Remember to clear your machines. Any main motion discussions, members? Hearing none, roll call. Those in favor will signify by saying aye. Aye. I got y'all. I got y'all. Better vote those machines. Keep voting, members. Mr. Brown.
It's already voted.
Councilman Napier. You gotta push yeah, not request to speak, yeah. That motion carries. Congratulations, Mr. Thibodeau. We appreciate you serving our community.
Weighing me out with that.
Moving,
No, I don't know what that is.
moving on to summary number 126, introduced by the clerk of the council. Madam Clerk?
A resolution authorizing the execution of a contract with the Daily Iberian for the publication of classified advertisements for the period of July 1st, 2023 through December 31st, 2023 at the rate of $10.40 per column inch. Note, a motion is needed to change the term ending date to June 30th, 2024 as Louisiana Revised Statute Title 43, Section 141A, specifies that said designation is for a term of 1 year.
I have a motion by Councilwoman Broussard, second by Councilman Olivier. Councilwoman Broussard.
Yeah,
She's not
I know
on.
what we were trying to do.
Hold on one second, Councilwoman. She's not on.
Let's go back to the old days.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I know what we were trying to do, and with the statute, I don't know whether we have to do the contract for 6 months, or we have to do it for 12 months, or if we could do it for 6 months. But I don't think it really matters. If the rates that the legislature put in effect for January 1st are lower than this contract price, then by state law, they're gonna have to lower the rates. But if the rates are higher, if we signed a 12-month contract, they're gonna have to recognize those lower rates through the year. So I think it's in our best interest to go ahead and do it for the 12-month period like we normally do. So when discussion's over, I'll make a substitute motion.
I'll hold the floor for it. Councilman Olivier?
I agree with Natalie. I think we ought to go ahead and just leave well enough alone for now.
Okay. Hearing no other discussion for the main motion. if you
I'll
wanna
move
press-
to
If you want to press your
amend it.
button. Have a motion on the floor to amend the language, and I have a second by Councilman Saunier. Any discussion, members, on the motion, the Broussard amendment? Hearing none, roll call, members. Vote your machines. That motion carries. Councilman Trahon in opposition. With the amended language, now roll call vote on the main motion. Hold on one second. Roll call, members. That motion carries. Councilman Trahon in opposition. Moving on to summary number 127, introduced by the Fire Protection District Number 1.
A resolution amending the 2023 Fire District Number 1 fund budget in the amount of $50,000 to provide additional funding for necessary repairs to Engine 202, all to be funded from the fund balance previous years.
I have a motion by Councilman Matran, second by Councilman Olivier. Councilman Matran? Councilman Olivier? Any main motion discussion, members? Hearing none. Roll call vote, members. Vote your machines. Councilman Brown? Councilman Napier? That motion carries unanimously. Moving on to summary number 128, introduced by Library Board.
A resolution amending the 2023 library fund budget in the total amount of $168,830 to appropriate funding as follows. A, in the amount of $38,125 to replace paving stones in the front of the main branch library and account for architectural fees. B, in the amount of $67,000 to straighten, replace shelving in the adult teen collections, replacing carpeting, and repair the roof of the Lydia Branch Library. C, in the amount of $59,875 to replace exterior doors and locks, as well as building sign of the Jeanette Branch Library. And D, in the amount of $1,830 for extermination services for the removal of termites at the St. Peter Street branch, and all to be funded from the fund balance previous years.
Do I have a motion? Have a motion by Councilman Brown, a second by Councilman Olivier. Councilman Brown?
I'll wait.
Councilman Olivier?
There were some questions about some of the fees that were being charged for the architect fees and so forth.
We do, let the record reflect, Councilman Brown, it was by request of the council at the last meeting that we have presence from the board and the director, and they are here if you'd like to call them up.
Correct, yeah. I'd like to, I don't know if you can start with maybe Michael can explain it, or Kathy.
Without objection.
Yeah.
Ms. Miles, if you can state your name and title for the record, please. Mr. Olivier, you still have the floor, sir.
Go ahead.
Kathy Miles, Library Director, till the end of the week.
Kathy, there were some discussions about some of the fees on the amount of work that's being done at the library, particularly architect fees or contingency and so forth. Can you explain those fees to us?
Okay, so I will take it one at a time. The paving stones are being replaced to prevent anyone from falling and suing. And I didn't know how to approach that because of the trees that constantly lift up whatever we put down. And so I reached out to Ty, and he kind of helped me with that. And we ended up saying that instead of just doing the part that people are tripping on, we would just take care of the whole thing. And that adequate, or hopefully adequate, signage would be in place through Public Works to also prevent anyone from hurting themselves. Let's see, the Lydia thing, I believe, although until we do it, I believe that the carpeting in Lydia can probably just be done with a really good clean. It's original to the building back in 2004. And the shelving, I'd have to look at it, but I have straightened shelves before, and I think if we remove the books, there's probably a bolt between things that if I can get to it with my maintenance person, I think we can tighten. The only problem is that we wanted to transfer the amount from the 2022 budget over, because until we get up and see what the repairs on the roof that are required, we're really not going to know. So I think we might have over budgeted, but we're not going to know that. And I guess I was just trying to save having to come back and forth. The Generette branch is because of all of those doors being in really bad shape. We're having to fight almost daily to lock those doors. And so we have doors that are just inoperable. And so, and the sign needed to be replaced because there's been vandalism. So we decided that we would do away with the freestanding sign that has sat there since the 70s, and we would put the sign on the building in an attempt to prevent any further damage. I mean, it's one of those things where I've always approached the money as, let's fix it in a way where we don't have to revisit it. Let's do the job right the first time, and that's a once and done thing. As far as architectural fees, I always kind of went on 10% of the estimated project.
Councilman Olivier.
Okay, I'm good. Leave it.
Councilman Landry.
The termites, we don't have a policy, termite company?
We did for every branch except that one, but now we do. And because we do, we went over by $1,830.
Okay.
So that's an annual thing that will be put into the next budget and done.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Ms. Miles, I do have a couple of questions for
Sure.
you. As far as when you say these doors are inoperable, how long has these doors been in this kind of condition?
Well,
and the reason I ask is, we need to start evaluating, not just your department, but all of our departments, start getting some sense of these buildings that are aging so that we know what's coming up, so, people aren't tripping.
Mm-hmm.
In case of a fire, they're actually able to utilize those
Right.
doors.
We were repairing it by shaving it and
Okay.
making it fit. We repaired locks multiple times, and they'd work. And then I think they're to the point now where, they're from 1974. I mean,
Yeah.
it's time to replace.
But
And-
in the event, like, I know you're leaving at the end of this week, but who do you have, or your placement's gonna have to go around to the various buildings just to look around, to evaluate, make sure there's no slip, trips, or falls, make sure that, there's no leaks, or, look, I know we don't have somebody who's professional in there, but we can determine through common sense certain things that
Right.
need to be changed.
Right. The director and the assistant
Okay.
director, and the maintenance man goes out almost weekly. So
And he's at the different.
right, correct.
Cool. We do have another question. Thank you for that, Ms. Miles. Appreciate it. We do have a question by Councilman Sonia.
Yeah, it's not a question. I'm going to support this, but Kathy, to you, I know you're leaving at the end of the week, and I've said this before, it's not always fun for you to come into this room, but over the few years that I've known you, you're a very pleasant person to work with.
Oh,
I
thank
cannot
you.
thank you enough for what you have done for this parish
Thank
and
you.
the time that you've spent with the youth who utilize your facilities. So I hope you have a quiet and enjoyable retirement. And obviously, over these years, you could probably be a construction consultant.
Isn't that the
after everything has
truth?
come through. So again, thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kathy. Okay, members, we do have to make an amendment to this to, for the total appropriations to be 166,830, is that correct?
That's correct.
Do I have a motion on the floor for the amendment? I do have a motion on the floor by Councilman Landry and a second by Councilman Napier. Councilman Landry, do you have any
Waive.
discussion? Councilman Napier? Any other discussion on the motion to amend? Hearing none, vote your machines, members. This is on the amendment. Councilman Napier?
No, what? You got a question? Why?
That motion carries, and this is gonna be the main motion with the amendment. Well, you only voted the amendment, I gotta vote the main motion with the amendment now. Roll call, members, vote your machines.
No.
That motion carries unanimously. If you wanna, I know the camera's running right now, if you wanna introduce to the public the new director as of Monday?
Yes, Marjorie Hills is taking my place.
What's her name again, Ms. Kathy?
Marjorie Hills.
Marjorie Hill.
Uh-huh.
And Miss Kathy, make sure you come back and get your library card, okay?
I'm probably one of the few people who have memorized my library card number.
Miss Hills, if you wanna introduce yourself to the public?
Hi, I'm Marjorie Hills. I am born and raised here in New Iberia. Iberia Parish Library, specifically the main branch, was my childhood library. So I am very proud to step forward and lead my childhood library. My intent is to continue to offer the people of Iberia Parish the same consistent educational opportunities that they've always had.
Thank you, and we look forward to working with you.
Thank
so
you.
much. Okay, members, moving on, summary number 130, introduced by Regional Planning Commission.
A resolution granting preliminary and final plat approval to the re-subdivision of property belonging to Vince James Darcy located on Fernand Crochet Lane in District 9 to subdivide 3.781 acres of property into 6 lots for residential use, subject to compliance with Planning Commission Staff Report PC 2023-0003, all as reviewed and recommended by the Iberia Parish Regional Planning Commission.
I have a motion by Councilman Napier. Do I have a second? Second by Councilman Michael Landry. Councilman Napier on discussion.
So, Jacob, I don't know if, before we vote, is
Yeah.
there anything,
You
maybe
could-
you could come to the podium?
Mr. Weaver,
just-
if you can just step to the podium and state your name and title for the record,
Just to give
please.
us the okay from the, the Planning Commission. So I see that they vote, everything's good, T's crossed, I's dotted, you ready to roll with it?
Jacob Weaver Planning, Iberia Parish. Everything was approved by the Planning Commission unanimously. All frontages are met, ready to go.
You ready to go? Yeah, we need to get this thing kicked in
Yes,
gear.
sir.
Right, okay. I'm good. I just want to make sure we always do
Thank you.
that with you, Jacob. Thank you.
Appreciate y'all.
Hearing no further comments, vote your machines, members. Councilman Trahon? That motion carries unanimous. Moving on to summary number 131, introduced by the parish president.
A resolution accepting the audit report for the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2022, as prepared by Coder, Slavin and Company, and further acknowledging the submissions of said audit to the Louisiana Legislative Auditor and the Federal Audit Clearinghouse.
I have a motion by Councilman Brown, a second by Councilman Olivier. Councilman Brown. Councilman Olivier? All right. Hearing no further discussion, vote your machines, members. That motion carries unanimously. Congratulations. Moving on to summary number 132, introduced by the Regional Planning Commission.
A resolution granting preliminary and final approval for the subdivision of 20.8 acres of property into 2 lots for agricultural and residential use belonging to Kelly Bernard, located on Boutique Road in District 9, subject to compliance with Planning Commission Staff Report PC 2023-0004, all is reviewed and recommended by the Iberia Parish Regional Planning Commission.
I have a motion by Councilman Rossini, a second by Councilman Landry. Michael Landry. Councilman Rossini?
You want to talk or no?
Just one more time for me, your name and title.
Jacob Weaver, Iberia Parish Planning and Zoning. This one's off of right outside of Laurelville, but it was a kind of a large piece of property. When these hit the 5 acre mark, over 5 acres, we got to do it. It really was just one partition. You know, we like Mr. Warren says, we really wish we could fast track these sometimes, but just the fact that it's too large, it was really just one tract of land. But it's everything good. Frontages are met.
And we have. This used to go directly to
A lot of
committee, now
hearing examiner.
favorably.
Yes, we fast tracked a lot of hearing examiner stuff.
we still have a
boundary
good
line
bit to go.
adjustments. There are some stuff that's kind of like staying agricultural.
Correct.
It's just for partition reasons. If we could keep them away from planning until permitting, you know, we're still trying to critique that a little bit. Hopefully, we can speed up this process.
Maybe we can get a meeting soon. And Scott, I know you have the floor, and I'll be quick, but we were talking with Andy, and I know you're here now, Ian, about possibly giving him more in-house authority to get some of these things going instead of having to come before us, just to streamline it faster for those who are willing to develop. So, Councilman Rawson, you still have the floor, sir.
No, that it goes back to where we started. I'm glad you brought that up. You know, what can we do internally to speed up processes?
Giving him more authority, the administration more authority to get these
in this
passed.
situation right here. So some situations we're ready to build. They're building these lots to build. So it's
Sure.
really important we get addresses. It's really important we get things kind of scratched. But in these situations where people are just kind of doing pre-succession planning, you know, just breaking up some farmland, it is too big. But if I can keep them away from planning by saying, hey, we're going to do this plat approval,
Sure.
but when the building permit hits, you will have to file this plat. You will have to go to planning just to make sure that the houses, the development is going to meet frontage requirements. So.
And of course, some of these tracks, what we talked about when we were kind of tossing around ideas, is those that would be denied in-house would have the appeal process to come before the council.
Right.
So we did talk about that. I'll go, Councilman Landry still has, you have the floor, sir.
I waive.
Wave. Hearing no other discussion, members, roll call, vote your machines, members. That motion carries unanimously. Moving on to summary number 133, introduced by the Regional Planning Commission.
A resolution granting preliminary and final approval for the subdivision of 314 acres of property into 3 lots for agricultural use belonging to Connie V. Longley and Claudette V. Freeman, located on Railroad Road in District 13, subject to compliance with Planning Commission Staff Report PC 2023-0005, all is reviewed and recommended by the Iberia Parish Regional Planning Commission.
Do I have a motion? I have a motion by Councilman Olivier, second by Councilman Michael Landry. Councilman Olivier.
I waive.
Councilman Landry.
Waive.
Any main motion discussion, members? Hearing none. Roll call, vote your machines, members. That motion carries unanimously. Moving on to ordinances introduced for publication. We're just reading them for publication matters. Summary number 5250, introduced by Regional Planning Commission. Madam Clerk.
An ordinance approving the reclassification request for the property located at the corner of Bayou to Bayou and Danielle Road, with said parcel being rezoned from R2 mixed residential to C2 commercial, located in District 9. All is reviewed and recommended by the Iberia Parish Regional Planning Commission.
Summary number 5251, introduced by the Parish President.
An ordinance amending Chapter 2 of the compiled ordinances to establish the dedication of essential employees within Iberia Parish government.
Just to remind the general public, next meeting is July 12th, and that adjudicated properties are listed on Civic Source, and that can be found on IberiaParishGovernment.com. Do you have a motion to adjourn? I'm sorry, I do have an expansion. Woo! I'm glad you caught that one, Mr. Brown. All right, I have an expansion, summary number 134, introduced by legal counsel. She's gonna read it. You can go ahead with your motion, though. Yeah.
A resolution authorizing the relocation of a drainage easement for channel L1G4 located at the property 2810 Melissa Road and 1001 Briar Patch Drive. The purpose of this expansion is to relocate the drainage easement for Channel L1G4 to provide for drainage improvements.
I have a motion by Councilman Saunier and a second by Councilman Napier to expand the agenda. Vote your machines, members. It's non-debatable. Oh, I'm sorry about that, members. Go ahead. Councilman Brown? The motion to expand the agenda passes unanimously. I need a motion to go into public hearing. I have a motion by Councilman Landry, a second by Councilman Saunier. Vote your machines, members. Hold on one second, we're having a little difficulty. There's no more letters on that button. All right, members, let's try this again. Vote your machines. Councilman Napier?
What?
Councilman Trahan? That motion passes unanimously. We're now in public hearing. Is there anybody in the audience that would like to address summary number 134? Hearing none, I need a motion to go back into regular session. Have a motion by Councilman Olivier and a second by Councilman Mathurin. Roll call vote, members, vote your machines. Councilman Brown? That motion carries unanimously. We're now back into regular session. I need a motion to suspend the rules. Have a motion by Councilman Saunier, second by Councilman Olivier. Roll call, members, vote your machines. Councilman Brown, that motion carries unanimously. The rules have been suspended. I'll need a motion to open up the main motion. I have a motion by Councilman Saunier, a second by Councilman Napier. Councilman Saunier in discussion.
Wait.
Councilman Saunier waves.
Me too.
Councilman Napier waves. We do have, Jacob, I know you're here, Mr. Weaver, if you want to step up, and we do have Public Works here, members, if there was any questions. Legal also, please chime in at any point.
Mr. Cole Griffin came by earlier at the beginning of the meeting and kind of explained why this is important. I just want to reiterate that though we may have stumbled recently in the past about supporting our local businesses, this is a significant investment in Iberia Parish, and just recommend that you pass this. It makes sense. We're taking an easement that is not serving its proper purpose and placing it where it needs to be so that we can actually do our job of maintaining public drainage.
Fair enough. Vote your machines, members. We just left. That motion passes unanimously. Congratulations. Thank you for your investment, sir. I need a motion to adjourn. I have a motion by Councilwoman Broussard, second by Councilman Brown. Roll call, members. Those in favor, vote your machines. Let's try that again, members. All right. Who we missing? Councilman Napier is absent. Napier is absent. Got to do it again? And that motion to adjourn carries.